Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're going to be back on Old Pickle today. For those of you who are not familiar with this bus, this is my 1958 press bumper panel bus that my then 3-year-old son had named Pickle. And it used to be all black. I went around with some goof off and goofed off 7 layers of paint off of the back and the one side up here. It used to look like this. Get down here where you can see it. So pretty gnarly, and someone has cut windows in it. I don't know if you can see there along the side, they've cut in plexiglass windows, so eventually we'll be patching those over. But the paint came back really well. That has not been buffed or shined or polished or anything. It's just after I stripped it, that's what's left, so I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. It had some mercury or some kind of other larger tail light on it, but they left the original hole, and so the original tail light I ordered, and I have those. I got those off CIP1. They look really nice on there, so I'm pretty happy that someone didn't cut those out. Obviously these corners here need to be redone, but where we're at now is this frame section. So we have it up on a rotisserie because I felt like that was kind of the only way I could do it with this bus. And I had a rotisserie that was the bar kind, where it just tips, there's a stand on each end and it just kind of tips on each end. This bus is so weak, I was about half scared to put it on there. So this is built out of cable reels. And basically I'm out pretty much salvage cost to build it. So it was a pretty cheap build and very effective so far. Where we're at now is I have cut this section out probably been about a month ago now. Cut that section out, and we are ready to kind of clean up our edges and put a piece back in. So this is completely full of debris and whatnot, so we need to kind of clean that out, make sure we get that all cleaned out before we go putting a piece over that. This piece here that covers it all up, I won't get in right away. Probably will leave that out until kind of the end. So I've cut most of it out down here, you can see there, and it went to about that first divider. So we got this one right here. The filled in spot went to about right there. And so we will eventually put that back where it was. For right now, I'm going to leave it open. The frame for this bus you have to buy in pieces. You can't buy the whole chassis. And you buy it with this piece up here where the beam connects. And you can see mine's in really excellent shape. So I'm not even going to worry about that. Just kidding. So that piece to this first joint, this is a factory joint here, you can see it right down there, is about 450 bucks. So if I buy both of those plus shipping, I'm already at $1,000, and I haven't even got to this section and back here. So it's sold in 3 sections, I believe, here, here, and then this section. And that little tailpiece, I think they sell separate as well. That section is good. We're not going to worry about it. The torsion tube is good. I'm not going to worry about that. If I were to buy all of that, I would be out more than what I paid for the bus. I'm not going to do that. We're going to make it. So far I've purchased metal and I am out $42 whopping. So let's see if I can prove myself wrong. I think we can do it for that, or for mostly that. And let me get things kind of moved out of the way. I got to move this beetle and the bus that's on the other side of us out of the way, and I'm going to go ahead and move that metal cart out of the way as well, and we'll get going on this and see what kind of damage we can do today. The audio dropped here, but I'm just saying that I attached the third brake light on this car this weekend too. Yeah, to see that lighten up, don't you think? I had to tip it down a little bit to make it clear the deck lid, but you should see that one coming. It's really, really close. But it does clear. Just barely. Looks good though. Don't want to leave this car sitting here when I'm welding and working on the bus because it has, you know, a full tank of gas up front and the glass, although not in great shape, it's not cracked. So, don't want the sparks hitting the windshield. And then my bus, I just like to move because it's in my way. But because my metal cart is on the other side, I gotta climb through the passenger side. Let me get that moved out of the way and I'll bring you back. Even though it's super annoying and this pile of metal that I've cut out of here is laying down here on the ground in a big mess, I want to kind of keep it around until I know for sure I don't need any of it. And then I want to keep a tally for the total weight of what we cut off of this thing. So for right now, that's going to stay right there. Let me go get the grinder. I've kind of got the carport cleaned out a little bit. Looks a lot better. A little more room to work. And we'll start in on this up here. It would be awesome if I could get this patch piece off of here without damaging the metal underneath. It feels like there is no rust on the original metal. So I think that was just part of the lap over weld from before. It'd be awesome if I could save that. Now it feels like there might be a little spot right there, but that's probably where they blew through, because those welds are pretty goobered up. Let me get the grinder. We'll get working on this and see what kind of damage we can do. We definitely need to get that all cleaned out of there. I apologize for the neighbors. They always seem to choose to mow when I get ready to film. So you'll just have to deal with it. You're probably going to be on warp speed anyway because it's just grinding. Let's face it, that's boring. I brought the grinder out and let's see if we can clean that up a little bit. I'm actually going to go get a cut wheel. I don't think I can get in up here, but I might be able to get in right there and right down here, I think. If not, we'll just grind it. Worst case scenario, I'll get the plasma cutter, but I don't know that I can be accurate enough given the angle that I have to work at. Because you kind of need to be where I could tip my head up and kind of see underneath there to be real accurate with it. I don't know if I'll be able to get in there or not. Cheap Harbor Freight grinder doesn't have a spot where you can put it on top, but we'll just move it to the other side. That other angle grinder does. If I have to, I'll just move this blade over there. keep going back and forth. Need a quick connect handle. Alright, let me keep working on that and I'll bring you back. The bottom piece came off really easily. I got the bottom little nub cut off and then was able to slice it here and here, and it just fell right off. No issue at all. So let's hope that that top one, I think what's going to fight me is when I get close to where I'm at the torsion tube, I can't really get in there nice. So we might have to cut it here at a diagonal and then just grind the rest of that off. Doesn't look too bad under there though. I'll keep at it and bring you back here in a second. Getting there. Let's see, I think I can go in. Need to go in and get my good pliers. Get close. Alright, let's finish it out. Just a tiny bit. So you know that the thing that happens when you have to start cutting at an angle. So I'm starting to get into the frame. So let me go change that blade out and we'll get a different one on and get the rest of that off of there. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but nature's kind of thundering at us right now. So we'll go as long as we can, but the two Volkswagens that are outside will have to come in if it starts raining too hard. Down to one little tiny piece. Alright, let me bring you in and take a look at that. Not too bad of a hack job. Let me get that kind of cleaned up with the grinder, and we'll see kind of what we've got for metal over there. Hopefully it's not too bad. That cleaned up pretty nice. I'm going to take the cut wheel and cut it off so that it's flush. And then we know what we're kind of working with. I may actually come out just a little bit from my line. Don't want to cut it off twice and it still be too short, you know. But I'm going to get that cut out and it is starting to sprinkle. So then we'll pull the other two cars in and we'll call it quits on this for just a few minutes. That looks pretty good. Probably needs a little bit more cleaning up, but I think that's workable. So I'll clean that up just a little bit more, and then I'll probably go back in with my welder and kind of patch where I hacked. I don't think that's all the way through the frame. I can't feel it. So I think that's just into the weld where the previous weld was. I think it's stacked here higher. But I don't want to grind too much up here to thin that out. So I think we're going to leave it there. But there does not appear to be a hole inside on the frame anywhere in there. So I think we're good and solid to where I've cut back. But that looks pretty good there. And clean up this edge here, and then I think we're ready to figure out what we're going to do for a piece. I'm not bleeding. I got into this clutch cable up here. I think if I cut a piece that's 33, obviously it gets wider at this point, so I'll have to come up with something to do there because I'm using 2x4. So if I go from the edge there to just past the torsion tube is 33 inches. So if I cut one at 33 and a half, well, 33 would get us where we need to be. So let me go cut a piece of that. And then I think what I'm going to have to do is split down it, and then we'll have to spread it out and then patch in the piece to make it. It is starting to rain, so I'm going to bring the two Volkswagens that were out back in, and we'll put this project on pause. I think this is supposed to pass over us pretty quick. So. Bummer. Well, it's a couple days later and about 40 degrees colder than it was the last time I was out here working on Old Pickle. And I've been trying to kind of think about how I'm going to do this piece here. And I'm smart enough to know, not the brightest bulb in the box, but I'm smart enough to know you don't butt weld right there and expect that to hold the bus up. That's just never going to fly. And it is cut right at the point where it starts to kind of spread out. So this is 4 inches and it just starts to spread out right there. So I cut it right where it's still 4 inches wide, just before it starts to spread out. I have a contour gauge here, and I've gone in and basically made that shape, so when I'm ready to make that, I'm good to go. I want to address a couple things that I know are going to be brought up. The bus originally had C-channel, and then they've tipped out this little edge here to give it some rigidity. But Volkswagen did box in just past the front passenger, or the front driver's seat, passenger seat bulkhead area. They boxed it out to right there. They boxed out the back to this first cross member. So we're going to try and mimic the same thing. I know that I do have 2x4. I should just leave it solid. But the problem is this bus is going to be a 36 horsepower engine. So I am trying to reduce weight. A 20-foot piece of that weighs about 120 pounds, I think, 130 pounds, something like that. So if I can cut half of that poundage out, it's like taking a person, small person, out of the bus, and that will help tremendously. So I'm going to do my best to make this piece back here lap in and just kind of go around and grab that torsion tube, and we'll weld that all the way around, and then once we flip it over, I'll be able to weld this on the inside as well. That's my plan. That may change, but that's what I'm planning to do. I'm going to try to make it look as original as possible. Be that as it may, good or bad idea, that's the plan. So let's get busy and see what kind of damage we can do. Well, folks, that's about the best I can do given the tools I have to work with. But I think, let's hope and pray, we fit up here. Let me hammer that in and I'll give you a peek. So I think that's a pretty good fit. I left it long on purpose because I knew I'd be banging it with the hammer, so I didn't cut it lengthwise quite yet. So we'll get that where it'll sit down all the way. It's pretty close now. And then I have to clean up everything around it. I'm sure there are other ways to do this, but I just took the tube and cut it, split it lengthwise, and then spread it out, and obviously cut the backside. The backside will get basically replaced back because we'll be putting, you can't see anything, there's a boxed in portion that'll come and meet with where the rest of the tube is. But I think that's pretty good. It'll come down here. It looks like it's gapped really far in the camera, but it's not. I think it's a shadow. And then I'll probably cut a hole in the floor up here so that I can get a really good weld up on top there. But pretty happy with that. I mean, I think given what I'm having to work with here, you can't actually buy these pieces, so I don't want to buy the whole torsion tube, and I really don't want to hunt down and wait on a donor bus. So I think that will be fine. Again, we'll box in back here to about this first support. This steel is slightly thicker than what Volkswagen used, so it's kind of a pain to cut into that shape, but tap on it just a little bit more and see if I can get it to go back. There we go. Probably could even go back just a little bit further. That marries in pretty good right there. And then I'll weld that, and we'll kind of make the weld morph into the original frame. I mean, you're going to be able to tell it's been welded on, but I wanted to stick with the main shape and structure how it was originally. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's not terrible. We'll do better on our second one, I would say. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Sure does look good with a nice new piece of steel in there. And then I notched a little too far here, but that's okay. We'll patch that in. Not a big deal. I didn't want that to be hanging me up, so I went ahead and took out a little extra. Well, that was fun. Making that sucker. I thought about going up a little further, but the problem is I can't get up there really to weld, and that part of the floor in the bus is pretty good, so I'd rather cut a hole down here and weld. And since I went around the tube, the stability of it should be good. Now, the thing to keep in mind with the buses, this was some of the first vehicles manufactured to have kind of the unibody concept. This is, like I said, slightly thicker than what was there originally. I think what's there originally is 12. I measured both this one and my double cab to make sure that I was getting something thicker than what was originally there. But not a whole lot. This bus is going to be 36 horsepower original engine, so I don't want to be adding a ton of weight. I'm happy with that. I think that looks okay. It'll look good once it's all welded up in there, and we're going to go with it. Well, with that, everybody, I think I'm going to call it an evening. I regret not filming more of it to show you how I did it, but we'll do it on the next one. This one I was just pressed for time, trying to get it done before I ran out of daylight. And we made it! So I've got that piece pretty much ready to go. I'm happy. One done. Well, kind of. It's not in, but thanks for being here, everybody. If we can get supplies and things in the next couple days, we'll be back on Mr. D's little go-kart. And if not, we'll be back out here on Old Pickle or some other rusty junk. So I will catch you next time.